Welcome back to my next playthrough series. Yes, I must be certifiably insane to try doing this game. This is Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I'm going to be doing a 3-player playthrough from beginning to end. This episode is just going to be a setup and introduction episode because this game is massively huge, as you probably know if you know anything about the Twilight Imperium series. Wow. This is the setup that comes in the manual for 3 players. So this was not built randomly. There is a way to build the map randomly by having each player have so many tiles, and then they get to place tiles, whatever. I'm not going to be going into that. I just used the 3-player setup. We are going to be playing from the perspective of the Federation of Sol, the blue player, which is down here in this quadrant of space. We're going to be playing as well against the Arborec, which are a plant species, and we'll look at all of the races and everything in this episode that I'm going to be playing. Again, it's just a 3-player. There's 17 races in the game. It's just huge. You can play from 3 players to 6. So just so you know. So we're going to be in blue. I have the plant species are going to be in green. We'll have a look at them. And then we have the Sardakk N'orr, which are the insect race. And they are going to be up here in that quadrant starting of space, and they are going to be in red. They're going to be pretty aggressive, I think, looking at their cards. So what is this game all about? Well, it is a galactic game of conquest and politics and intrigue and all kinds of exciting things, which I hope to kind of showcase here a little bit as I do my playthrough. I'm going to be doing things a little bit contracted in this playthrough. What I mean by that is there are certain phases to the game that take along, that can get into AP, where you're sitting there going, I wonder what I should do. I'm going to be cutting all of that out. So you're going to get lots of cuts in this playthrough with me going, okay, I got to think about what I'm going to do, cameras off, come back and do something. So it's going to be hopefully much shorter to watch than watching me hem and haw over every decision and whatever. When we get to space battles and things, we will be rolling the dice on camera, so you'll be seeing what's happening there. Wow. The object of the game is to be the first person to get 10 victory points. And how you get victory points, there is a whole pile of different ways. Basically, it is by completing objectives. Each player has a secret objective. We'll look at the human ones because that's who I'm playing. We're not going to be looking at the Sardakk N'orr or the plant species, the Arborec, because it's secret, and we're playing from the perspective, of course, of the human player. We're going to look at our status cards. Wow, there are some really good how to play videos out on YouTube at the moment, so I'm not going to be doing a how to play kind of. This is just going to be an overview. So this is our universe. I will deal with, planets and anomalies and Mechatol wrecks and stuff as we get to it. I'm not going to describe everything because it'll take like at least a half an hour to describe all the rules of the game. So this is the map setup. So we are down here, Federation of Sol. The Arborec plant people are up here. The bug people are up in that quadrant. All right, I'm going to zoom in, I guess, on our objectives and the track here for points and explain a little bit about that. Then we're going to take a look at the 3 races, and then we're going to take a look at the status cards. And then I think that's going to be it for the episode because it will be long enough. And then the next episode, we'll be getting right into gameplay. And I'll go over the quick reference in the back of the rule book, of the Learn to Play rule book, which kind of goes through everything you can do, and I'll be doing it lightning speed, not much detail. We'll see that in action as I play the game. So yeah, this could be insane. It could take a while. Normally when you're sitting around playing with friends, it can take 4 to 8 hours, literally, even longer, depending on how much table talk is going on and such. All right, let's take a look at the victory track and the first 2 objectives that our races need to complete for victory points, and then we're going to take a look at the 3 races playing in the game, the status cards, and that will be it. And yes, I'm suffering from table space limitations. This is a huge game, and my table I think is only 3 by 5 feet, Ideally, you want at least a 4x6 foot table or a pool table or something to play this on, especially if you're playing more than 3 players. I can barely fit the 3-player game on the table. All right, so this is our victory track. There's a flip side to this. It can go to 14 points if you want to play an extended version of the game, which then allows you to explore more tech and such. But we're just going to play to 10 because that's going to take me long enough to do this playthrough as it is. So we have level 1 objectives and level 2 objectives, and these get flipped over at the end of each round, basically. And so the 2 that come out, these are randomly shuffled and placed out in play. The 2 we have are diversity research, and of course you get objectives in the status phase, but we'll get into that when I go through how the turn works or how round works. So it's worth 1 victory point, and it says own 2 technologies in each of 2 colors. There are 4 technology colors in the game. There's red, blue, yellow, and green, and we'll get into that when we need to. The other objective that's done at the start of the game, flipped over, we have is erect a monument, and that's you have to spend 8 resources. Resources can be trade goods if you have them. 1 trade good is 1 resource. And planets have a value here with a little yellow box or yellow thing around them. Those are also resources. How you spend resources is you have to exhaust the planet to do it. And again, we'll get into all these little details as we play. So the first person to 10 going to win the game. Let's hope it's going to be the Federation of Sol, which is us. We're very expansionistic. We should be able to spread onto the galaxy probably pretty quickly, but I'm pretty sure we're going to run into the bug people. They're very hostile, and the plant guys are insidious. So with that, let's take a look then at the 3 races that we're going to be playing. Again, the information for the Sardakk N'orr, the insect people, and the Arborec are going to remain hidden, mostly, because they have secret objectives and they have special race technologies they can research. We're not going to see that until they go ahead and do that. But we are going to look a little more in-depth at the Federation of Sol, because that's who we're playing. So let's start off with the Sardakk N'orr. They are the insect race. And I apologize for this. Again, I have limitations for filming because this game is so big and I've got things kind of sprawled out all over the place. So I hope this is focusing somewhat okay. Their starting homeworlds are Cornara and Thrundlack, and they have 3 resources and 1, respectively, 1 influence and 0 influence. Influence is going to come into play when the council is formed once someone takes Mechatol Rex, which is the destroyed home of the Emperor from long ago, thousands of years ago. So when 1 player finally takes Mechatol Rex, we're going to be getting into an agenda phase, but we're not worried about that at the moment. So let's take a look at the Sardakk N'orr. Each player mat has all the units listed, and it tells you the cost, how far they can move, the dice, how many dice they roll for attack, what they need to hit for attack, on and on and on. So they have a secret objective here, which we're not going to look at because it's secret, so we don't know exactly what they're going to do. Each secret objective is worth 1 victory point, so it gives you a bit of an objective in the game, something to shoot for when you're starting. And how you do that for setup is everyone gets dealt 2 secret objectives and you pick 1 of them. So I just randomly gave everyone 1 secret objective. Because I'm playing it solo, it doesn't really matter. But when you're playing with others, that's what you need to do. Alright, we're not going to get into the detail of ships and stuff. We can do that with Federation of Sol. Everyone starts off with 3 tokens in the tactics spot, 3 in the fleet, which is your fleet size, 2 in the strategy. Their special ability, they're unrelenting. It says add +1 to the result of each of your unit's combat rolls. That's brutal. These guys are super good at fighting. They're sort of kamikaze-like, and they will hit you hard. So if they build up a huge space fleet and start coming at us, we might be in a bit of trouble. But we have technologies we can research to help us out. Which gets me to the research stack. These guys start with 0 technology. They don't have any technology, but they have that ability to hit you hard, and that's not good. Every color of plastic in the game comes with a huge technology deck, and every race has 2 special technologies that is race specific. And again, we're not going to look at that for them because we want to keep it as kind of a surprise. All right, that's in a nutshell kind of the Sardakk N'orr. Let's take a look at their homeworld right now. We'll zoom in and we'll look at their starting units. And again, I apologize for having to zoom in so far. I hope it's going to focus okay. So this is their homeworld off in this quadrant of space. They start off with a cruiser. They have 5 ground forces, a space dock, which is where you build units, and a PDS, which is a planetary defense system. They can either shoot at ships in space or shoot at incoming combat ground forces if you try to land on the planet. And they have 2 carriers, and carriers are used to ferry troops and fighter planes around with you in the galaxy. Now they do have 2 planets, and you have to put ground units on a specific planet. All the other units are just in the space around the planets. So I put 3 ground units on one planet, 2 ground units, the PDS, and the space dock on the other planet. It's always good to put the space dock on the planet that has the highest production so that you can build more units on your turn. So that's basically the Sardakk N'orr, and they are adjacent to a couple of double systems. They have some empty space here in another system. And again, we'll get into all of those kind of details when we play the game. It's no use explaining everything now because it'll take forever, and there are some good how to play videos out there already. All right, up next, let's take a look at the Arborec, which are the plant species. All right, here we have the Arborec, and they are going to be the speaker, which means they're going to be the first player. And I just did that arbitrarily, rolled a die to see who was going to be going first. So it's going to be Arborec first, Federation of Sol second, Sardakk N'orr. Now there are some nuances as to how the actual turn order works. Again, we'll get into that when we need to. And yeah, everyone starts with 3 in the tactic, 3 fleet, and 2 strategies. Now, these guys, their special ability is mitosis. It says your space docks cannot produce infantry, so they can't build infantry. But it says at the start of the status phase, place 1 infantry from your reinforcements on any planet you control. So every round, basically, they just start spitting out an infantry unit. They can't build them, but they just produce them, I guess. They grow them, which is kind of a cool thing. Some of the ships, I think, might have slightly different stats than other ones. They're mostly the same, though. And there will be special text in these boxes telling you if there's any special rules for a race-specific unit. Everyone, of course, has a flagship that they can build, and all the flagships are different, but we'll get into that if and when they build a flagship. Like I said, if we try to go over everything, this will be a 90-minute video, and you'll be falling asleep. So we want to get into the gameplay and see what happens there. Now, they do start off with 1 technology, which I don't know if this is going to focus. It's the Magan Defense Grid. It says you may exhaust this card at the start of the round of ground combat on a planet that contains 1 or more of your units that have planetary shield, which is a PDS unit. Your opponent cannot make combat rolls during that combat round. So the PDS just nullifies the combat rolls for invaders. Again, pretty cool ability, but you have to have a PDS on the planet. They start off at Nusfar, and there's flavor text for each planet, but I don't think we're going to, again, read all the flavor text of all the planets and everything because, once again, we don't want this to be a 90-minute video. All right, we're going to zoom in on the Arborec's homeworld, and we're going to take a look at the starting units they have and see what we have from there. And once again, I hope this is zooming in okay and not being all fuzzy. It looks okay in the viewfinder, but you never know until I do the editing, so I apologize if it's not nice and crisp. So their starting units, they have 4 infantry to start with on the planet. They have a PDS, planetary defense system. They have their space dock for building units. They have a cruiser. They have a carrier and 2 fighters. And their homeworld is bordered by 2 double planets, a single planet. And there's a beta wormhole right here too. So the beta wormhole, they can jump in and out from that space to the other beta wormhole on the other side of the galaxy, or the side of the sector space. So that's how the Arborec are going to start out. Now we're going to take a little more in-depth look at the Federation of Sol. Then we're going to look at our status cards, and I think that's going to be it for today. So let's take a look at us our me, the Federation of Soul, and then we're going to look at the status cards and wrap it up. And once again, I hope this is focusing nicely. All right, we're going to take a look at our home world a little more closely. Again, if it'll focus, I apologize. If it won't, we have 4 production possibility and 2 influence for Jord. So there's that. We have 2 technologies. I'm just going to read them here instead of bringing it up because it probably won't focus anyway. We have neural motivators. During the status phase, draw 2 action cards instead of 1. That's awesome. It's going to give us more possibilities for things to do. We have anti-mass deflectors. Your ships can move into and through asteroid fields. Normally, you can't. When other player units use the space cannon against your units, apply a -1 to the result of the die roll. So that's pretty good. And here you can see the green technology, the blue technology. So let's take a look at the technology cards for something to do. And yeah, let's just take a look. So what you can see here is like there's plasma scoring. So there's no requirements. Excuse me, the requirements would be on the left-hand side, and it would give us a red technology. And then you can see if we want the Magan defense grid, we need to have 1 red technology prerequisite to have this, and then it will give us another one. And so on. I'm not going to go through all of these. There are basically 4 technologies for each color, and they do different things, and we'll get into them if we need to. Then we have ship upgrades, which are cool. If you upgrade a carrier, for instance, you're going to put that down on the player mat. It upgrades the stats and stuff. Very cool. So there's a ship upgrade for each of the ships. And now let's get looking at our 2 race-specific upgrades. And we have, oh, that's not a race-specific upgrade. That's just the War Sun, which is awesome, of course. Our 2 race-specific, and you can see here, it has the symbol for our race, Soul Infantry, Spec Ops 2. After this unit is destroyed, roll a die. If the result is 5 or greater, place this unit on this card. At the start of your next turn, place this unit on this card on a planet you control in your home system. So basically we have regenerative dudes. We need 2 green technology prerequisite to build this. This would then, of course, replace our regular ground units on the board. So very cool way to do the technologies. And we also have an advanced carrier, which is really cool. And it has sustained damage. What sustained damage means is it can take 2 hits before it's destroyed instead of 1. Normally in the game, only Dreadnoughts and War Suns have that ability, but our advanced carrier has it too, which is really cool. We'll look at the stats, I guess, too. So we have, it costs 3 resources to build a carrier. It has 9 combat. What that means is you're going to be, everything's D10 rolls in the game. So we're going to roll a 10-sided die, 1 of them. And if we roll a 9 or 10, we score a hit. If we roll anything less, we miss. It can move 2 spaces each time. And has a capacity of 8, this advanced carrier. If you look at the regular one, it has capacity of 6, movement 1. So this is quite a substantial upgrade for our race. Capacity is a combination of ground troops and fighters. So we could have 6 fighters, 2 ground forces, or we could have 8 ground forces, or up to that maximum. And once again, we start with 3 in the tactic, 3 in the fleet command, 3 in the strategy. So fleet command, everyone starts off to be able to have 3, I'll call them capital ships. Fighters do not count towards the fleet limit. So 3 would be cruisers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, war suns, and your special flagship. All right. And you can probably see this stuff. Again, I'm not going to read all of them. We'll get into the specifics when we need to, when we're either fighting. Now we have orbital drop. Spend 1 token from your strategy allocation pool to place 2 infantry from your reinforcements on 1 planet you control. That is a really cool ability. So once we start taking over planets, we can spend strategy tokens and just dump ground troops out like there's no tomorrow. We are also versatile. It says when you gain command tokens, during the status phase, gain 1 additional command token. Normally in the status phase, everyone collects 2 tokens, which are these tokens. We get 3. Again, very cool. And we're going to take a look here at our secret objective. It's going to give us a victory point. Our secret objective says own 2 faction technologies. Well, our 2 faction technologies are the upgraded carrier and those upgraded infantry units. So if we get both of these upgraded units researched, we'll be able to collect our secret objective, get a victory point during the status phase. Oh man. All right, let's take a look at the strategy cards. I'm not going to read them all, go through all the detail, but you can, if you want, pause the camera or pause your video, watch the read through all the cards. And then I'm going to do looking at the quick reference, and then wow, that's going to be it. This is going to be huge. I really do enjoy this game. It does take forever to play though, but it is extremely fun. And I will probably mess up some rules. Check the comments. I hope to get bubble notes up if I screw things up and what have you. So let's take a look at our status cards. We're going to look at the quick reference game overview, and then I'm going to leave it off for today. Our next episode will be getting right into it. And I almost forgot to show you the Federation of Soul units. So we have 2 carriers. We have 5 ground forces, a destroyer. We have a space dock and 3 fighters. And we have a nice situation right here because we have 3 double planets right beside us. And there's the other end of that beta wormhole, which comes out pretty much where the Arborec are hanging out. So they might try to come at us through the wormhole, or we might try to go after them through the wormhole. I don't know. We'll see what happens. So these are our starting units for Federation of Soul. Now let's take a look at the status cards. All right, again, space limitations. So I've kind of jammed everything together everywhere. There are 8 status cards. Oh, wow. And so we have leadership, diplomacy, politics, construction, trade, warfare, technology, imperial. Because we're playing a 3-player game, everyone is going to be collecting 2 of these strategy cards because that's how it works. A 3-player game, 4-player game, everyone gets 2. If you're in a 5-player game, then everyone's going to get 1. The ones that don't get chosen get a trade good put on them. It kind of incentivizes you to pick them the next time. And trade goods can start building up. Not going to read through all these. Once again, when we get into gameplay, we'll take a closer look at them. So just so you know, wow. So if you want to pause, you can try to read through all of that, or you can just wait for the gameplay and actually see it in action. All right, I'm going to zoom out completely so that we can take a look at the quick reference sheet in the back of the manual. And wow, then we're going to leave it off and go from there. And like I said, I'm probably insane for even trying to play this game on my channel, but it is so awesome, I have to give it a go. So this is the back of the Learn to Play, and it basically gives you a quick reference overview. So you could probably pause that as well and have a look at it. Game overview. So there's 4 phases. You have a strategy phase where players choose their strategy cards, which we just looked at, starting with the speaker proceeding clockwise. Then we have an action phase. Players take turns in initiative order, and there's a whole bunch of actions that you can do. Then we have the status phase. Players perform cleanup steps in preparation for the next game round, and once Mechatol Rex has been taken by one of the players, we're going to get into the agenda phase. So we skip that until Mechatol Rex is taken. And there are 3 types of actions that you can take. There's a strategic action, which is using your tokens, using the strategy cards right here. There's component action. Certain player abilities, action cards, and things will have the keyword action on them, and you can take those as an action. And then there's the tactical action, which means you're going to take a token off your tactic player area. You're going to activate a system, then you're going to move ships, and then there's space cannon, offensive, then there's space combat if you're in a sector of space with other enemy ships, then there's invasion, and then there's production. Wow. So the status phase is you're going to score objectives, reveal public objectives, draw action cards, remove command tokens, blah, 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 on and on. Planets have traits, and there's frequently overlooked rules. Oh my god. Huge, huge game. So thanks so much for watching along, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. Again, it's just a 3-player game. You can play this up to 6 players. Just make sure you book off an entire day or 2 if you want to really dive deep and play this game. So thanks so much for watching along. This is Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Pure awesome. I really enjoy it. So thanks so much. Thanks for your comments, your subscriptions, and likes. Really appreciate it. Join me next time when we get into gameplay for Twilight Imperium 4th edition.